I'll go over a couple of games on CPM. They're Catchum and Ladder, and as opposed to sort of usually you see text-based games on CPM, these two are kind of arcade-style games, and they consist of 3 files each. So you've got Catchum.com, which is the game itself, catconf.com, which is the configuration utility, Catchum.dat, which is the actual configuration data, and then there's ladder.com, which is the game, ladder.dat, which is the configuration data, and ladconf.com, which is the configuration utility. Now, I'm running through a terminal on Linux, and it uses ANSI codes to do kind of position of cursors and colors and things like that. And it's not, in order to get these games running in proper configuration, it's not as simple as just running the configuration utility, because sometimes if you get the game and it runs fine, then that's fine, but because you've got the right configuration files. But if you need to do the configuration yourself, the best thing to do is first of all erase the configuration files that are there. And then do a configuration of one of the games, because once you've configured one, you can copy the configuration across the other game as well. So if I do ladconf, and that'll load up the ladder configuration program, and it'll give me a set of options. There's predefined options because it's kind of, so that there were, I guess, common machines back then, and here they are. And there's a few options for ANSI, which is what we want, but I've tried the deck one and it's not particularly good. The Heathkit one is the closest to get us going, up and going first of all, but there's still an option which needs to be changed once that's up and running. So if I type 10 to use that option, yeah, I'll say yes to sound. That's just like the terminal bell, and I won't have the comments for me. And then just define your keys, and then that's the configuration done. Now it automatically loads up the ladder game, but you'll see that it's still not quite right, because there's still an additional thing that needs to be done to the configuration. I'll go through actually doing that update manually. It takes a little while on my system to run. So my system's running at it's emulated at 4 megahertz, and terminal speed is about 19,200 bits per second. So you see it scrolled up from the bottom because it's not clear in the screen. So if I press P to play, you'll see that it hasn't, although it's erased the display, it hasn't cleared the display, so it's all off. So that needs to be corrected. So Control C will bring me out of the game, and then I can press E to exit. And now I have to just do a little bit of manual configuration of that configuration file that's been produced. So it produced ladder.dat. Now I need to use a CPM command DDT, ladder.dat. And DDT is dynamic debug tool, and it's used for debugging executable files, but you can use it on data files as well. And what's important is this 3 here. I have to remember to use 3 at the end of this. And so if I press D and enter, it shows me a debug of, or dump of, the actual file itself. And what I'm interested in is around this area here, 1A0, because this first number is the number of bytes, and then the number of bytes that follow are the bytes which erase the display. So I have to add an additional 3 bytes here in order to clear the display as well as erasing the display. So if I type S:01A0 to actually edit this stuff, so if I type 07 because I want to change that to 7 bytes, and I just hit enter past the first code, which is 4A, and then I enter the anti-clear screen code, which is 1B. Well, this does the home, so the eraser has already been done, 5B, 4A. So I've just added send the cursor home after the display's been erased. And if I just hit full stop there, and then it's kind of counterintuitive DDT from here, because you go Control C to come out of the program. And then when it's come back to the cursor, now you save it with the command save, and this is where I enter the 3, which was the number which I highlighted from when it loaded, and ladder.dat. And while I'm here, I can also, because it will work as the configuration file for the Catchum program as well, so I may as well just go save 3 Catchum.dat as well, then that'll save a valid configuration for that game as well. Once that's been saved, just do a dir. So now when I start ladder the game, and it just has to load up from my emulated disk. And those configuration files, so it will load in that configuration file, and come up with the menu options. It should, yeah. So it's cleared the display and erased it, and so now you see this stuff over here, which looked a bit funny before, is okay. And when I push P to play the game, it actually displays properly. And so you use the keys you define plus the space key to jump. It's kind of a bit like level 1 of Donkey Kong type thing. I found the easiest thing to do with the ladders is to jump onto the ladders, and you just have to make your way to the top, and it goes on to another level, which is kind of like the first level of Donkey Kong again, but a kind of different challenge. Should be able to jump onto there. I just have to get to this top bit. I probably won't make it. There. Oh, so that goes on then to level 2. So again, it's just a different challenge, but you have to do the same thing, which is get to the top and not jump into any of these round barrel type things. So to come out of this game, you just press Control C, and then E to exit. I can go into Catchum, and the configuration files should initially be the same, so I should be able to start this up, and it should do the clear screen and do all the anti-character codes properly from the start. And it looks as though it's written by the same people, and it looks the same. If you go into the configuration utility, the configuration utility is basically configured the same as well. So there's Catchum, yeah, and it's cleared the display, so when I start this it should start properly, and it's just a game of Pac-Man really. Although it's actually level 1 isn't particularly quick, so I may just what I'll do is I'll come out of there and press L to change the level to level 5. Start the game again, because it's a bit more of a challenge on level 5. So I think you can do that on ladders, where you can change the level so it's a bit quicker. Oops, if I get the keys right. So you can change the level that you play at, and it's exactly the same as Pac-Man in that you can get these things, and the ghost type things turn into small lowercase m's, and then when they're about to change back, they change into uppercase m's, just to give you a warning that if you're chasing them, you should probably turn around. So anyway, it's basically the same as a Pac-Man game, but I thought it'd be good to do a video just to show how to configure the game to actually run on a Unix terminal, probably the same as in Windows. I would think that you'd probably have to go through the same configuration if you're running on the Windows configuration as well.